Woke up this morning with the weight on my chest, trying to give my family my very best. Bills on the table, prayers in the air, trying to find peace in a world that don't care. I've been working, I've been hurting, I've been trying to get it right, but I still believe God's with me in the middle of the fight. Faith, money, mental health.
And bam. All right, guys. How's the week going? We're here. We're episode 9, right? Episode 9 and in the making. It only took us, once again, here we are saying we'll get you guys every week, and 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, we're here and we're talking. But yeah, how's it been? How you guys been the last few weeks?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been super busy, which is obviously one of the reasons why we're only, able to do this every 3-4 weeks after we said that we wanted to do it every week. but yeah, things are going well. Just productive and busy.
Yeah, that's been a lot. What about you, AA Ron?
A lot of changes over this past week. I think I'll probably piggyback off of Mark and say it's productive. There's a lot of challenges. I woke up this morning and I'm like, you know what? There's some things I need to get back to. And it's like starting my morning, commanding my day. So this morning I got up at my intentional time, which is 3:45. And I listened to some good audios that is more about mindset and staying focused. So that was definitely cool to kind of get back to that. We talk about it, and I guess what we really don't talk about is sometimes you do go through those waves of like you're on it, much like people going to the gym, right? Like, beginning of the year, they're hyped for like 3 months, and then after that, they fall off the rest of the year. Next year, I'll do it again. But the key, I think, really is just being able to catch that, not let too much time go by, and say, no, this is exactly what I said I want to do. Let me, if I got to baby step it back in or, pick it back up, but definitely don't put it off to like way later on. So I'm happy to got myself back to commanding my day where I start taking more control of it.
It's extremely important.
Yeah. I think I was listening to like Napoleon Hill, and it was like a couple of them because it's like a 38-minute YouTube. And I just sat at my desk, was working this morning, and just in a zone of just capturing everything that he was saying about not letting things distract you, be focused on what your goals are. And my goals are still very, very prevalent in my mind. And it's just about continuing to move towards that each day and waking up like ready to do that, like ready to create that habit. So I feel very good about that today, and tomorrow will be the same thing.
Yeah, you're big on the Napoleon Hill, and I think starting your day with some like, was it YouTube videos? Are they?
Yeah.
I shouldn't say YouTube videos like that, because that sounds like like you're scrolling YouTube or something. Like you're looking at like motivational, personal development, like Napoleon Hill and others. So they need to make that sound so small. But yeah, it's for me, it was an interesting day. I hit the road. Went to a place today, and a few places, and one of them I'd been to a few times. And I go to this place, and the guy who owns it, he always has his dog with him. And when I go in, the dog always barks at me, right? But it's a friendly dog, right? He just barks at everybody. And then you come in, he just, gets a couple pets, and then he goes and he lays down or whatever the case might be, and he chills. And that's pretty much it. Like, I'll pet him, he'll leave me be. He doesn't really come up to me or anything like that. Like, he just barks, quick pet, and then he's off in his bed or wherever, right? And he's chill. He's wherever. And I don't know if I told you guys this or not, and for the people that have been listening or other videos, I had a dog pass away over a month ago, and that was really hard. It'll probably be hard forever, right? Or however you want to word it, right? It's like you always are going to miss them. And I take the lessons I learned from it and what I learned from him and all that. But there was one thing he used to do all the time, and he would just follow me around the house and lick my legs. Like, a little chihuahua, I'd be wherever I'm going, and you just feel like a little tongue, just like licking by your ankles all the time. And I know sometimes, I'd be like trying to change my daughter's diaper, and he's just like licking my ankles, and it like tickles. I'm like, dude, would you stop? And now I look back and it's like, you miss it, right? Because it doesn't happen anymore. And man, I feel like for the last few weeks, I've just been looking for some kind of sign that, like, hey, man, he's good, he's okay, he's with the Lord, that kind of stuff. And I've been kind of asking, like, man, I just want to have some kind of sign that I feel like I know he's good, right? And this dog that I've seen several times now never comes up to me. He followed me and the owner into another room when we were talking, and he came right up to my leg and licked it today. And I've seen this dog so many times. He's never done that before. He always just goes the way down. And people can read things however they read it, but to me, it was like really comforting. And I almost kind of got like emotional, like right there in this place. But yeah, man, for that dog, it was like, I was almost like, man, is my dude being like, hey, man, give him a lick for me, so he knows like we're good over here. So yeah, that was kind of my day. I found a lot of comfort in that. So all the dog lovers listening to us, like that was cool. So we still have our one. We have Sheba. She's chilling. She's gonna be 10 this year. She's still pretty active. Get her out for walks every morning. All that fun stuff. But yeah, that was my day. Aaron, I don't know if you know you're muted.
I know I did that intentionally. I can't control my environment, so I want to make sure nothing transfers into the audio. So I just mute it from time to time just to make sure it stays clear, and then I'll unmute when I'm talking. Yeah, but I think that's really cool, man. That's a really cool way that you're like, hey, give him a lick for me, let him know it's from me. Like kind of give you that everything's okay, bro. So that was a cool story. I liked it.
Yeah, man, it was nice. And that's pretty much it. I know it's been a while since we talked, and I think all our listeners probably know, like, we never have a plan what we're going to talk about. A lot of times we're just kind of catching up what's going on. We talked a little. I know I've been on like a weight loss journey. I'm down about 23 pounds, and that's been like a roller coaster the last 6 months. Up, down, left, right. But I'll tell you this: I'm walking my dogs. I don't feel out of breath, so that's a plus. That's a huge plus. So yeah, I don't want to take it. I don't want to be the one chatting the whole time. And if there's something you guys want to jump in or talk about, I know it's late when we film these, so if we seem tired, it's because we are. like just letting you guys know, like, we are. But yeah, man, that's it. Just some free flowing conversation, chilling here. Got our green screens going on, and yeah, man.
No, that's cool. I like the fact that you, working on personal development as well. I think we all are. Like, we were just checking in with Mark on like, what are you doing? Because we haven't talked in a little while, and naturally, just because I think really because whatever we're into and we're doing right now, kind of has us in a focus to that, and so there's been a lot of, really just grinding in our work, and then trying to spend some of that time getting back together, which is cool. It's kind of like, we get to miss each other a little bit because we're always together, and then come back and, check out on each other, see how we're doing, and motivate and uplift. So yeah, man. Well, I wasn't going to go here, and I'm not going to touch it very long, but I lost my dad over the weekend. And I know you guys know, so I'm really just sharing it to the audience. But yeah, this smiling face is not a facade. I am happy today, but it's just one of those things I kind of prepared myself for. And now post, it's like, I'll have my moments. I know I will. I still haven't gone by myself and spent some time just digesting more, still been around people. And that's kind of my preferred thing. Like, I'm not a public display of, I'm hurting type deal. And it's no way a macho thing of like, oh, I just got to be strong and nothing penetrates this heart, But uh, it's been, I feel like a newfound focus, a newfound, I'm making more efforts to communicate with people, just making sure that, they know they're loved. I do tell my friends I love them, might seem weird, but I don't care. Like, I'm definitely your manly man. So I don't really care if someone feels some type of way about saying that to their man friends or even their girlfriends. But just letting them know, and I think, my brother mentioned earlier today, life's short and it's very precious. So we should be spending as much time we can, letting those people know that they're important to us. I do hear some type of scratching or something like a microphone, just let you know.
I don't hear that.
That's weird. I've heard it a little bit myself.
Just to kind of say something about what you said, Aaron. As someone who's lost their father as well, definitely make sure you take that time to be with yourself and your thoughts. And I don't want to say the word grieve, but that's the best word that I can come up with right now. And grieve on, take that time for yourself and do it, because it took me a really long time to do that. And I wish I would have done it a lot sooner. So,
Oh, I agree with you.
I'm praying for you.
Thank you.
And, if you ever need anything, definitely, I'm here for you.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm definitely probably going to pick up the phone. I mean, we talk a lot, us three for sure. I was telling, I think Brian, right? We were talking about like identifying who your confidants are. You're not going to go share, some of those vulnerabilities with just anyone. They kind of have to earn that spot. They have to been someone who's been in your corner, supporting you, always uplifting you, encouraging you. You've gone through things together, and you need to be selective about who those people are. But you guys, are definitely part of that group. We have a few others that we know we can go to. But I wanted to piggyback off that, Mark, because there is something built up, and I just don't want it to become explosive for not managing that. And I could see little moments, but it's nothing crazy. But I'm like, if I leave it unattended for too long, you might not be able to control what happens. And some people cry, some people get angry, right? So it's like array of emotions that could take place here that may not be the best productive for yourself or for those who are around you. So I intend to do that and give you guys a call outside of this podcast, but I definitely make sure I got around people, because I think the default thing you want to do is be alone, right? Like you want to be alone, and you kind of want to push yourself away from people. And I did that for 2 days, but then actually like a day and a half, because the second day I had to go do something that I was like hired to do. So I had to be out in public and around people, and it helped a little bit. But at first I kind of just like not really responsive to the text messages and phone calls, kind of just really didn't want to do any of that talking right away. And but I do understand that, you need to talk and you need to be around trusted individuals that you can be vulnerable and do that with. So thank you, bro. Thanks for the invitation and prayer.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
It's important talking about it, and just I think it segues into like men's mental health, and maybe a lot of us don't talk about what we're going through. And Mark, you were talking, and it sounded like maybe you held on to things a little bit longer than.
Yeah, I had a weird situation. So my dad's death was actually labeled a homicide, and I don't want to get into the details of it for the internet, but it happened quick. There was a lot of wild stuff that went on, and it took a big toll on my family, and my family kind of just like glued themselves to me for weeks to months, and I just didn't have that time alone. And then after that, I was like, I wasn't thinking of myself, so I just kept going about my business as normal. And then finally, it just, it boiled over. I needed to deal with myself afterwards. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's important definitely sooner rather than later.
For sure. Well, we're weekends upon us right now, so I definitely intend to. I got to take care of some things in the morning, but I think I will. And I like to go to the park and just sit by myself. That's one of the places I like to go where, and as far away from people as possible, just so I could spend that time.
Mhm.
But hearing your story, I definitely will do that. I don't want to become to a point where it got so uncontrollable I can't go to work, right? I can't function, right? Because just hit that emotion just hit like a tidal wave. And I know it hasn't hit me as a tidal wave yet. And that's kind of the thing I'm lurking, seeing. I feel like it's lurking. And if
Mhm.
I don't address it, the tidal wave you know, will hit me.
Yeah, and I will say I didn't have like a big blow up or anything like that. It just kind of started affecting things in like little ways that ended up being, a lot bigger than it should have been. Like I was living with one of my good buddies at the time, and you know, once my family kind of like was good and they, went back home and all that other good stuff, I was still kind of like, I don't, in limbo, I guess. And I could just tell, it was affecting my relationship with my roommates, causing issues, stuff with issues with my job because I was kind of detached and stuff like that. So not necessarily a big blow up, but it definitely caused some issues for me not taking care of myself as well. So I mean, obviously you want to take care of your family too, but absolutely make sure you take care of yourself.
I agree, bro. And I think, like you said, this is, if you don't mind me, I feel like you want to say something, Brian, and I don't want to cut that, but
Yeah,
what you
go
say?
go for it. All I was gonna say is if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others.
Agreed. Agreed.
Exactly.
It's almost the same thing as like if you don't love yourself, how can you love others, right? Like it
Mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
falls in that same thing. And I wanted to share with our audience, like, this is what we're talking about. Like, we're not just on here because, oh, it sounds good to make a podcast. We're really like talking about real stuff, finding ways of sharing that information with each other on how we can uplift and encourage and be a resource. And I just want to paint that as something that is a healthy thing rather than something that people shy away with. Like, I remember when I was on self-help a long time ago. Like, now everybody's on this kick, like they want to read all these books and like self-help. Well, I remember when it wasn't cool. And I remember being
Mhm.
teased for like, you need self-help books. What's wrong with you? Like, I'm like, wow, to improve myself, like there's something wrong with me. Like there's nothing wrong
Yo,
with me.
we
I just wanted to be better,
we grew up in
so
a we grew up in a weird time frame where it was like cool to not care.
mhm.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, that's not the way to go. Like you got to care about things. Like,
Mhm.
Exactly.
like you can't just not care about everything. not to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're good. I would just want to share that because I want people to find a group. Like, I didn't go into the whole fact that I had a whole men's group that I'm a part of that once a week we get together and we get some scripture reading in, who all came together for prayer for me, bro. Do you understand how that felt? Like, yeah, initially it was kind of like I don't want to talk about it, but someone shared it and everyone came together. It was probably like at least 8 or 10 people in this group, and I'm like, hey, let's bust out a prayer for Aaron, and pray for some encouragement, for some strength for our family. And I'm like, that's the environments you should be getting yourself into. I mean, other than business and other type of environments where you need to get around solid people, but that's the kind of environments you need to get around, man. Like, if you're not having that and you're dealing with all this stuff by
Yeah.
yourself, that is part of the reason why there's so much depression out there.
Yeah. That's huge. You were talking earlier. We were talking, and you and I talked earlier today, Aaron, about obviously being vulnerable, talking about what's going on. But we're like, the other part of it, you got to be careful who you say things to sometimes, right? It's like,
Mhm.
you might want to vent stuff out because it's healing or whatever, you're talking about it, but you don't know where the enemy might be at times, or just people's intentions, right? How they might use that information, unfortunately, sometimes against you, instead of,
Mhm.
you're going through a hard time and, you know, secretly they're like happy you're going through a hard time. Or, I'll put this out there. Say you're going through some mental health stuff, right? if you're at a job, right? And if that job, you can be careful who you're talking to. I've seen it where I had a buddy of mine going through some stuff, mentally, and I think he was going through maybe a divorce or a breakup. I can't fully remember, but he was at this job. He probably worked there for a decade. A decade. He pretty much ran the place, right? And as soon as trouble showed itself, and he was having a couple off days, they let him go because he was sad. Like they just stopped scheduling him, and that was pretty much it. They let him go, and it's unfortunate. And for me, right, for my own stuff, at times, back a few years ago when I could barely walk to my own mailbox, because the panic attacks were so severe. And I remember at one point losing a job from it, in like, was it 2019, 2020? And that's when the whole world was going crazy, right? The pandemic was happening around that time. It was a mess. And it's like you're careful who you talk to because, like HR, I don't want to say anything about HR. Every company's different. Using things against you, right? And then I've had other employers where they actually hear about what you went through and the fact that now you're actually, you're working again. You've been going through therapy. You're working through it, and the right people will see that as like your strength is showing through. Like you battled through that. It shows a lot about your character. Whereas other people, they're using it against you. Oh, he had some mental health stuff. He was panic attacks. He couldn't get to his own mailbox. Like, oh, that's a liability. You know how hard it is to right that ship to make yourself not just employable, but like full functioning citizen of society. Yeah, do I still have issues? Do I still have panic attacks, right? Anxiety, like I'm gonna live with it forever, right? I take medication for it. I do. I'm just like people like I do. I take medication for it. I've done a lot of therapy to get myself to where I am at today. It wasn't overnight. It wasn't like, man, I went to therapy one time and now I'm good. It was a lot of hard work. I've been told by doctors like, hey, man, you're like one of the worst cases we've ever had. So I just say that to like, out of everything we're talking about, if you're going through things with mental health, everyone's different. Your mental health is different than my mental health. And everyone's story is different. I just want to be words of encouragement and, push through. But the big thing is careful who you share your information with. I think that's all I really meant to say, because people might see it as a strength when others will see it as a weakness, unfortunately, but it's not. Man, I think people with anything mental or they're talking about their stuff like you're going through, they're vulnerable. That does nothing, Aaron, to me, but show strength.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, not to interrupt, I'm gonna pop off real quick because my dog is. My dog had surgery today, Aaron. I don't think you were on when we were talking about it, and I think this sedation is like messing with his bladder because he's got to go out.
Yeah. If you just mute, I'll turn the camera off here so it doesn't pick anything up in your room. And when you come back, I'll turn it on.
Yep, sounds good. No, I was, when you shared that with me, a while back, and I'm pretty sure if the audience has been following us, they've actually heard that before, but I didn't pick up not 1 cent of that. Like how difficult it was to go to your mailbox, and the anxiety that happened to being like generally a public speaker. Like you're like what they don't know is you're running a whole different setting where you're talking to more people and you have a large group engagements, and just that's the panic, the anxiety attack type situation. Not that I know it personally, except for maybe a little bit when it came to crowds a long time ago, and I had to work through that. You didn't give off any type of like I didn't know. You were like, let's go. And you were talking to everybody. And I was like, hearing this story, I'm blown away. Like, I couldn't imagine what that was like.
Internally, even then, like I eventually had to lock in, right? But even then, like before I went up, my mind's racing. What's going to go on? That's just basic anxiety, right? Like it wasn't like a full-blown panic attack or anything, but I wasn't sure what I was going to say, man. If I got called up the first group of people, it might have been a whole different, speech because my anxiety was through the roof. But, man, I would have panic attacks. Like I would wake up with panic attacks. Like I'd be asleep. I'd jolt out of my sleep, heart rate, 170, just like completely soaked, right? My bed be completely soaked. And the medication has, assisted, I think, with some of those things. But even 2 nights ago, man. 2 nights ago, I was sleeping and I woke up and that impending doom feeling, right? And I've, I guess, in a way, is as you learn to have a relationship with a person, I'm learning to have a relationship with my anxiety and like my panic, right? PTSD, all those things, and um, they still affect me, but I'm learning more and more to be like less afraid. But like there are still times when they happen, and it is debilitating in certain situations, and I have to go, get my mind under control, or however you want to look at it, right? However you want to look at it, and more reason why mental health is so important, and taking those breathers when you feel it, and not working yourself to that point again. Um, but yeah, man, even the mailbox thing was just kind of the beginning of it. I remember still having times where I was like just laying in my bed because I was having like a panic attack come over me. My heart rate's through the roof, right? And it would trying to do these breathing techniques they tell you about, right, in therapy and all that. And I felt like, maybe 20 minutes later maybe it would subside. And then within another 20, 30 minutes, it's like, oh my God, here comes another one again. And they were just like one after another after another. And I wish I was exaggerating, but at certain points, like I was probably upwards of 15, 20 of these, debilitating panic attacks a day. And, yeah, man. So no, I appreciate that because it's been a long journey. Doesn't mean it doesn't still affect me, still have mental health stuff, but to go from, man, I still remember when my doctor my doctor was like, you should just apply for disability, like SSDI, I think it was, because she's like, you're not getting any better. And by the way, for people listening out here, if you need that, you need that. Go get it, right? But for me, I was like, if I go get that, I'm waving the white flag. What's going to push me to keep going forward? And there have been plenty of times where real close to that bank account drying out, man, drying out, just continuously working on myself to get through stuff. The amount of times I've been at jobs and I just had to leave, right, because of what's going on, to, not perfect, but, in instances like when you've seen me, like you saw me at that time, right? You're like, man, I can't even imagine that this person was like this or gets like this at times, right? So, yeah, there's good days, bad days. I think I feel like it's a more manageable mental health conditions, right? At this point, like it doesn't mean I don't still suffer. I don't want to say to suffer. It doesn't mean I'm not still having a relationship with mental health, right? Panic attacks, anxiety attacks, uh, things of that nature. But when you start to learn your body and triggers, and you have this whole toolbox of things to use, to help yourself kind of calm down. And the biggest one for me, bro, this is going to sound wild, but like, I don't believe the lies that my body's telling me. Right? Like, literally, I was walking my dog this morning, right? And there's times where I get some vertigo with like I get really bad headaches and I get vertigo. When I get vertigo, it make you feel like you're falling over.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that might make a sensation of making you feel like you're going to pass out or you're losing your balance, right? And I'm far away from home, and that's one of those things to where it's like, oh my God, you're going down, you're going to pass out or whatever. That's what my brain is always trying to tell me. And in the politest way possible, I'm like, shut the up, like what I've done through CBT therapy was, all these things are happening, right? And then it's always going worst case scenario. And I'll talk to myself and I'll be like, wait, out of all the times I had this thought thinking, oh my God, this is about to happen. I'm about to pass out, or I'm going to do this or whatever. Or that's what I'm afraid of. I go, has that ever happened? Every time you've had this sensation, has that ever happened? And when the answer is no, I go, okay. And now my brain just downloaded that, right? It just downloaded that, no, that's never happened. So like the 1,000th time I go through that, I'm essentially desensitizing myself from the sensation. And I've had to do so much therapy, do this over and over again. I mean, it was years before it really started taking effect, right? It might be I was in a building and my anxiety is, say, a 10 out of 10, right? And maybe 3 months after doing this, I'm like, oh, now it's a 9 out of 10. But I'm like, well, wait a minute. there's improvement, right? And that kind of kept pushing me to keep focusing, right? To keep on it. But I still wake up occasionally from panic attacks, right? I might wake up with some cold sweats every now and then. So I'm, like I said, the one thing I would say is I've learned to have learning. I don't think I ever fully learned, right? But I'm continuing to have a relationship with my mental health. That's the best way I could put it, because obviously all things are possible through Christ, right? So if I were to be healed from that, I'd be healed from that. But for the last however many years, right, been living with it, learning to live with it, learning to do my best with it, and learning that it doesn't define me. But also, and last thing I'll say, and I'll hand it back to you, when I do have like those outbreaks, or I am like having this or that, or maybe have an anxious moment where you're just like, full on panic, and maybe you say something you shouldn't have said, your mental health is not an excuse for how you might treat other people ever. So I just want to throw that out there to people listening. Like, you might be going through this or going through that. It should never be a reason for, why you're losing your temper, right? Or whatever the case might be. So I just wanted to say that. And I'll yield the floor to you guys, because I was chatting for quite a bit there.
No, it was good. I feel like it was something that could actually help people. And I was going to go into asking, like, hey, could you share some methodologies? And not saying that it works across the board. Like, I understand very little about this, but just generally, not everything's going to work the same for everybody. So, but if it's something that they have not considered, like, the SSI, right? Or breathing exercises, telling your body, has this ever never happened before, right? So, confronting your body for the lies that it's putting into your head and your emotions, to start to little by little desensitize that, right? So just some basic things. But if that's helpful to somebody, man, like that's reaching someone and giving them an opportunity to push forward. And then lastly, that you left them with, hey, no matter pretty much what you're going on with that, it's no excuse to treat someone else, poorly because of what you're going through. And the one thing I really liked about what you said was that I hear something
you guys
going
hear that.
across the mic.
Someone's mic is just going wild.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's like rubbing like I have a mic here. It's like it's rubbing against it.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
But basically, just having those key points. It's not all inclusive for everybody, and everyone's going to. I know someone who I just recently reacquainted with, and I'm not going to say their name, but that person told me they have to know about a meeting before they have the meeting, because a high level of panic and anticipation and anxiety happens just for the unknown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what this meeting is about. So it's about not being caught by surprise. And I was like, I didn't even know that was really a thing, but to this person, it was actually and so that their team knows you got to give that person the heads up about this meeting before that person's going to attend this meeting, or they're not going to attend.
It's the fear of the unknown, and people have that, and so I pause there. I think that's kind of one of the anxieties that my wife gets sometimes, is fear of the unknown, or wondering what's going to happen here, what's going to happen there. And I get that as well. It's another one of them, right? What helps me is I think my faith, leaning on my faith with that one. If when I'm looking to the future and I'm like, man, I don't know how this is going to work out, right? Or what if this happens, or what if that happens? What I do is, that's one of the rare times when I look into the rearview mirror and I say, okay, everything that happened in my life when I was worried about what was going to happen in the future, whether what happened was good or bad, or I liked or I didn't, has it led me to a place to where I'm happy with my life, like right now, like overall? And that answer to me is always yes. Even going through when, my dog recently passed away, right? Or, the other things that I've gone through, all the anxiety and the mental health, right? That sounds crazy that people would be like, man, I'm thankful for that. But it's like, I've learned so much because of it. It's still molded me to who I am, and I've been able to maybe impact others going through some stuff. But when I look at the rearview mirror and I look to where I am now, yeah, I'm happy where I've been. I'm like, okay, that's 38 years of I'm happy where I'm at right now, right? And if every single time that leads me to where I'm good, then why am I worried about what's in front of me? You know, and I get comfort in that. Not everyone can compartmentalize that, but that's one way where I've kind of been looking at it, right? If that's how that works out, then I'm good with it. So
Yeah. Mark, you got something to say about it?
I mean, as Brian was talking, as he was talking about how he has like a fear of the unknown, I was like, yeah, but you make. I was thinking in my head, like, yeah, but you make good decisions. So, like, I think it'll work out for you because you make good decisions. So, I guess my message is make good decisions.
and make good decisions. And sometimes we make a decision that we think is good at the time, but it leads you somewhere that you weren't expecting, but it was still supposed to happen, right? Like Mark got me into, well, I'll give you credit. Mark got me into financial services like a while ago. He asked me for quite a while. I kept telling him no. His mentor called me and I'm like, yeah, let's meet. And I think he's still salty about it. Like, I think he's still salty about it. But,
we're talking before he keeps going. We're talking literally was talking to him the day before Marcus called him, and he was still telling me no. And then like 12 hours later, Marcus calls him and he's like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna sit down with us."
Yeah, and just so everyone's aware, it wasn't like it's like, nah, I'm not sure. Like, nah, I don't think so. It wasn't like I was on the fence about it. It was like if you read between the lines, it was like F no, right? It was like F no. And then for Marcus to call me and I'm like, yeah, sounds great.
He just rolled over like a dog.
Sound like a real stand-up guy. Sound way more professional than that bald white dude I was talking to yesterday. And he was like, "That's great because I'm a bald black guy," and I'm like, "My favorite."
My favorite kind.
Oh man, I already know Opus Clips is gonna grab that, and it's just gonna make like a 2-second video. I'm not gonna catch it. I'm gonna post it and be like, "I love blackball guys," and then I'm gonna lose every job or contract I've ever had.
That's why
it's gonna get clipped. Yeah, it's gonna get clipped everywhere. That's
ridiculous. Hilarious.
Yeah, there's a lot, man. I think, man, I like where the conversation's gone today. Just big on mental health, right? I think that's kind of where we've been focusing around today. And yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I agree. I mean, some of our first episodes, we came out the gate with some things that we still hold very dear as important, right? Trying to give that financial education, and not that it always will be about finance, always be about mental health, and always be about faith. There's just a lot of what I want to say. There's a lot of commonality or overlapping when it comes to each one of those subjects, so I'm just glad that we're able to still have more content to talk about because there's so much. I mean, we actually had made a whole list of things we could talk about under those umbrellas, and that list went out the window. Like, I think the first episode we had a guide of like what we were going to kind of stay on top of with, and then 8 episodes later, it's just all freestyle, and I love it, because we're talking to each other, and then bringing some points that we know will benefit the audience.
Yeah, I like we're really putting effort into it. We want to like have this talk about that to talk about. And we just kind of felt like it took the genuine away from the conversation. Like, I just felt like we're forced talking about this, or felt too much like, man, we got, even though we weren't in suit and ties, it feels like suit and tie kind of talk, right? And we just want to be 3 guys, 3 regular people just talking, having a conversation. And if it turns into clips that people like listen to, and it's like, cool, great. We don't do a lot of the editing. We use Opus Clips because we're crunched for time. I don't know about you guys, but I can't take 2 hours of video and just, I tried it before, right? I tried it. It was like, find this or find that. Excuse me. It's time consuming. So I think, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, does Opus Clips maybe hurt your reach? I think maybe TikTok, it throttles it a little bit because I heard TikTok likes you to use the actual app, right? Facebook, it seems to push us a little bit. But at the end of the day, like, we don't need 1 million followers, but I mean, Facebook, we've been gaining like 1 or 2 every week. That's pretty cool,
Natural.
And we have a post every now and then that goes over maybe 400 views or 500 views. One on TikTok went 700. I think the few times that Opus Clips grabs Mark, one time it grabbed him, it was like 2,000 views. And, a lot of creators would look at that or whatever, and be like, oh man, those views are terrible. And I'm like, but I got to think, like, I went throughout my day, how many people did I talk to today? I maybe met 5 people or 6 people, but across all these platforms, we've say in one day, we have 1,000 views. Man, we just reached 1,000 people. To me, that's even on days when the reach isn't big, it's still, to me, it's more people than I would normally see in a daily period. Right. So I'm like, that's another thing too, where I think, a lot of what we do is because we just love to do what we're doing. We love to have the conversations we're doing. And I think to the people that listen and see our content, what you're going to see is Faith, Money, Mental Health. There was a lot of focus on obviously finances in the beginning, and that'll always be part of it. But I think I'm going to say what I'm feeling, right? What I'm feeling come to me is that what you're going to see is 3 guys kind of going throughout their journey in life, sharing it with you on these episodes. And we'll be talking finance, we'll be talking mental health, right? Talking about, the things that are important to us as well. Like, the veterans, right? Veterans are big, finances for people. That stuff's big. Mark being a recovering gay dude, man. And it's just,
Brian hasn't hit that point yet.
no, I listen to Elton John on repeat, and all I can say is I'm still standing.
That's a good song, though.
It is
That's a good song.
It's a good song. I gotta stop making those jokes, but I want to say
get us canceled.
I'm gonna get us canceled, and that's one thing I will talk on. I felt like over the last decade or so, I think they call it the cancel culture, right? It seemed to be like anytime anyone did anything or said this, just bam, they were canceled. And if anyone listens to comedians, there's Shane Gillis. Mark, I think you know who Shane Gillis is. The dude's hilarious, and every joke he says probably should get him canceled. If in that environment back then, but I think when it's said with good intention, like it's just funny, like it's fine, right? It's not like that person has like what's it? I'm trying to say, like actual hatred in his heart or anything like that. And I feel like as a society, I don't know what other countries are like, because we're kind of in a sandbox when it comes to the United States, and that's most of the content we're seeing in the United States. I feel like maybe that sensitiveness or whatever is starting to lift, where people aren't as up in arms when they hear something. And I really feel like that's kind of missed. Like I love when people can take a joke, because man, it's too much work to be that serious all the damn time. Like make a joke, like what was it? I call my daughter a little cracker, because she is. I'm a little cracker. You're a little cracker. I told my wife's Puerto Rican, so I'm like,
she's a graham cracker.
Yeah, she's a graham cracker. I always tell my wife I like my women like I like my coffee, and I'm like a little bit of cream in it. I'm like, wait, that sounded way worse than it was supposed to. It's because the cream makes her tan, right? But it sounded like I just impregnated coffee. So that's probably all right. Whenever that clip's at, I'm not posting that.
Yeah, because you're not even going to be like, you're just going to let it do. Hey, Opus, do your thing. You're going to look at it and say, just let it ride. Just let it ride.
I was talking about the shading, when you have a black coffee, put cream in it, and I'm just going to stop. I'm just digging.
No, don't mention
digging a hole, man. I'm digging a hole. But yeah, I feel, I guess what I'm getting at is I feel like, and you guys tell me if you see it too, but I feel like the last couple of years, people haven't been as sensitive when it comes to certain jokes. Like I feel like before it was just like, man, it was game over.
I think a part of it is just the fatigue of cancel culture. Everyone's just so sick and tired of being in an uproar all the time about something. I mean, I've never really been in an uproar about jokes and things that people say or do, but I just feel like as a society, in whole, like everyone's just like, man, I'm just so tired of this.
I mean, it's exhausting, bro. Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's like staying mad all the time. You know, it's like exhausting. Eventually, you want to rest your face and maybe smile, right? It just feels better. I think I've noticed it too. I go to comedy shows somewhat often, and the first thing I hear the comedian say is, you know, hey, you're gonna hear a lot of stuff here. Like they have to groom the audience for what they're about to hear. And if you feel like that's
Yeah.
something you can't handle, like feel free to leave now because it's still going on, you know. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, you know, I mean, I was arguing with AI, bro, on etymology, right? And it's just how we use words today and how we make words mean stuff that it doesn't mean at the root of its origin. And it's like, you know, you really can't stop that train, right? We're going to continue to make words and phrases of things that take away from the meaning of what they actually meant or stood for and dilute it in some other type of mixture, you know, to say now this means this and this is cool to say it this way. And the problem I have with that, with like doing that, is that now people have to say what they mean instead of mean what they say, you know? And I think that's just the evolution of people changing things. Now laughter, the things that you joke about is now all of a sudden super sensitive. And it's just like, I mean, I don't know. It's definitely making my time period growing up like a solid time period. And it wasn't. But now I feel
Yeah.
like the type of skin that we've built, the ability to laugh at ourselves, I mean, I remember laughing at a lot of things you probably shouldn't laugh at, you know, but it was like, it was funny and it might still tickle me today because I have humor. Like the littlest thing could make me laugh, you know, if it's funny enough. I don't
Mhm.
need you to convince me that you're funny to laugh. Like if it's funny, I'm gonna laugh at it. That's why I laugh at you. What you say all the time, B? Is like, I mean, the audience probably like, that wasn't funny. I'm like, that was hilarious, you know, like I think, but I think living that way helps you not take things so seriously. Like I think that's a form of the healthy part of your psyche is to be able to laugh, let your hair down, relax and enjoy yourself and don't be always on up in arms and on guard about everything that's going on around you. Like there's things too that you should focus on. Is like guard your mind, right? Like don't let people be so quick to persuade you of something you really want to do or something you should be doing,
Yeah.
right? Like cut out distractions for sure. I was just telling my brother, and I'll end it with this because I knew I kind of ran on with the sentences, but I remember a time period, bro. I was on Facebook for like 5 or 6 hours, bro. Like that was before Instagram was really a thing. So I'm kind of dating myself a little bit. But I remember coming home, it'd be daylight, and then I would be what we call today doom scrolling for like 5 hours. When I finally came to like, you know, I wonder what time it is. It's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. I lost most of my afternoon, the late afternoon, early evening. This is now, you know, getting close to the time of actually shutting it down for the night and get ready for the next morning. I'm like, where did my time go? And I was telling my brother this, and then we were talking about some of the methods, like I mentioned earlier, about starting my day. And I have, and I'm gonna say it lightly because I'm gonna have to literally go and count, but let's just say I have 7 or 8 social media accounts. And some of them I'm actually constantly posting on. But if I was to go find out how much screen time I have on all those accounts combined, I'm sure it's no more than 15, 20 minutes a week. And I say this not as a brag, but it's like, hey, if I have less time to doom scroll, I have more time focusing on personal development and growing so I can hit those milestones I'm looking to do personally. And that's why I wanted to share, you know, a little bit about that.
You know, I got 2 things to say about something that Aaron said. Is one, you were talking about words and their meanings. So I'm a philosophy major for my undergraduate degree, and one of my
Not a good one.
one of my undergraduate degrees, Brian. I have multiple. Uh, one of my favorite philosophy professors, one of the first classes that I took with him, he stood up in front of the class and just basically said, words matter and the way you use words matter. So it brought me back to when he was saying that, when you started talking about etymology and stuff like that. And then when you were talking about the comedian having to prime the audience for their jokes, I think when it comes to this cancel culture stuff, I think that the internet played a massive part in it, because everyone's just looking for a viral moment. And what's more viral than someone getting pissed off and making a big scene about something.
Yeah,
So
100%.
I think that played a big part in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I miss my syrup, bro. Aunt Jemima was a good syrup.
Aunt Jemima would be looking at you staring away across the table too.
She knew.
So,
you remember the commercials that y'all animated walking all?
Hey.
I'm like, hey, Aunt Jemima.
They took Aunt Jemima away. You saw, and I don't know the history of all the sports teams and why this or why that, but sports teams' names started changing, and
the high school that I went to was the Redskins, was our mascot, and they just recently changed that because the state of Illinois isn't going to allow them to participate in like state for sports and all that other stuff if they continue to use the mascot. So.
Wow.
You know what throws me around too, like when you do have to change names, because remember the Washington what was the Washington Redskins of the NFL, had to change their name, and they changed it to the Washington Commanders. If you are going to change your name, at least make it a cool name. Commanders, that's crap, man. Like you didn't even try. You didn't even try. You got people making all kinds of money, right?
You don't like the Cleveland Guardians?
Yeah, and they're all terrible. Yeah, it's the Cleveland Guardians. Terrible name. If you have a billion-dollar franchise or multi-billion-dollar franchise, you shouldn't be allowed to have a crappy name.
I agree.
So that's something that I think if you want to make sure it doesn't become a crappy name, let the fans vote on it. It won't be crappy, and they'll be happy because they're the fan base. Let that majority rule, right? Pick it, and you'll be good. You might come up with some awesome names, and
I'm pretty sure that's what the expansion team for the NHL did out in Utah. They had like a list of names, and they let the fans vote on it, and then I think they ended up picking the final name, but they like narrowed it down using the fans.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I like that. Hey, sometimes the uproar works, right? Remember like when the Sonic movies came out a little while ago, and I think the Sonic thing looked terrible, and all the fans were like, what the F? And then like 2 weeks later, it looked way different.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Like, what happened to Sonic?
Yeah. I mean, look at at some point, in fact, I think this is the perfect way. Cancel culture, a lot of emotions are running high. You should get rid of this person, get rid of these people off the shelf because they said this, now we don't like it. But at the end of the day, spend your money where you want to spend it. Mm-hmm. Like if people are making money, or if all of a sudden like there's a comedian and people don't like them because they said this, let the ticket sales determine that. If they're not selling tickets, then they're gonna go away on their own, right? Like same thing, music artists. Yeah, and that's how I feel like it should be. And stereotypes are funny, by the way. I think they're hilarious. Like I like them when they're said to me. I get a joke out of that, and or a crack up out of it.
Like the Navy being gay.
That's true. Sometimes you're out at sea for 6 months, and the berthing's cold. The AC's blowing 60 degrees. You don't have that good of a blanket. The blanket's not the best they give you. Just broke back shit.
That's hilarious. Broke back shit.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. But I had a buddy of mine. While we were in high school together, we're still friends to this day. He's my brother, right? And he's still in the service. He's going he's probably going over 20 now because he made warrant officer. But I still remember he loved playing basketball, right? He loved playing basketball, played a lot of basketball in high school. We'd go meet up, and by the way, I can't play defense. I was able to shoot threes like there was no tomorrow, but I cannot play defense, and I can't jump that high. So look at me. shouldn't be a surprise, right?
There's that
That's
stereotype.
and it's also true. It's also true, you know. But this guy looked like Aaron, just to paint the picture, so no one's confused. He looked like Aaron.
He was black.
That's not what I said, but he looked like Aaron. And what I thought was funny is he was playing basketball, and he had a new pair of shoes on. Right, I don't know why I wore a new pair of shoes. Someone stepped on his shoes, and he got extremely angry. And it was at that point where I was like, man, it's true. It's true. Everything I heard is true. And I was like, he got real mad. I'm like, maybe you shouldn't have wore the new shoes. And like, there was another time he got new shoes, went to go play basketball, and then he got mad because he put a crease in his shoe because he was walking it. So, anyway, I still love these stories. I get a crack out of them. But I started hanging out with him long enough. I was going to parties. All of a sudden, I'm wearing like Rockaware and everything, and he was rubbing off on me, and I'm just like, man. And now here I am. I got New Balance shoes, and I cut my grass, and I live in Iowa. So just a complete. That's the stereotype for me. You get in your mid 30s, you have some kids. And all of a sudden, you just wake up, and it's just like you had Nikes. You're like, where these New Balance shoes come from? They just like,
are they Velcro?
They Velcro. They just transform. They transform the New Balance shoes. And now I'm just like, I see other men cutting their yards, and I'm like, it's go time. Right? Or I like the peer pressure of my neighbors. If I can get out and mow before they do, and then all of a sudden, like 5 minutes later, you see all the other mowers come out. I'm like, I kind of assert my dad dominance in the neighborhood. Let them know what's going on. So
that is too funny, B. That's hilarious. Yeah.
The joys of life as you get older.
That's good, bro. That is good.
But I know we're coming up on the hour here, and it was fun. It was a good. I enjoy talking to you guys. It was always a good conversation.
Yeah, me too. You know, I thought I was gonna come in. I was like, man, I don't know. Some stuff is pretty fresh right now. I'm like, we're going to do this. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to back out of, I might have something to share, at the end of the day. And if not, you guys are like my therapist. So I get to get free therapy unless you send me a bill. I better not get a bill. But, I enjoy it too. And I'm looking forward to still evolve more. Like, I really think as we're getting more comfortable, there'll be more subjects, and then it all tie back in. But just because we're talking about mental health today, that don't mean that we still don't care about making sure your finances are taken care of, you're set up properly. Just going to put it out there. We are still Faith, Money, Mental Health. We're still FMM Podcast. We're still 3 Path Financial. So, but we just didn't want to make it all about money. But money conversations should still be taking place. Talk with your spouses, understand how money really works. And when I say that, how money really works, I really mean like how it really works. Some things that work against you can work in your favor. And if you don't know that, then it's definitely an important reason why you should listen to our podcast and get some one-on-one in with either Brian, Mark, or myself. And just want to make sure that I put that out there before you close this out, B.
No, I love it. If I could just add to it, I think of any financial strategy, obviously at some point you want to get to a point where you're putting money away and you're saving, you're getting that compound interest. And if you're not there, right, which I think a lot of people aren't there in the United States and probably in the world, living paycheck to paycheck, everyone has an insurable need, right? Whatever that is. If you don't got a big savings or whatever it is, something happens to you, then that all falls on your family. At least go if you can get qualified for it, go get yourself some term with living benefits. Doesn't have to be living benefits. I personally, if I get sick or I have a heart attack or something like that, I want that stuff to activate now, because what if I get sick, really sick, and I can't work, and now my policy lapses because I don't have the money to pay for it, right? That doesn't help my family. But the living benefits is a good way to kind of, get around that. So as you're building up your wealth and you're getting your money right, to me, my term policies, when I first got them, and even to this day, they are just like this feeling of, well, I don't want anything to happen, but God forbid something happens to me, my wife and my daughter are good. Like, there's plenty of money coming to them, right?
Yeah.
So not worried about it. And then now I can go focus on all the other things, build up this account, build up that account. I think that's your foundation. That term insurance is the foundation to, I think, every financial strategy, in my opinion.
I really like that, B. So you went from your old Nikes to New Balance, setting your dominance out there on mowing the yards and getting protection for your family.
All at the same time.
Yeah.
Hey, when you're out there letting the neighbors, and you're out there before them, you're gonna get a hit on it, man. You're like, I'm getting real tired. That guy beating me out here all the time. All of a sudden, next thing you know, your mower's got a flat tire. You're like, that's weird. I don't got nails in my yard. I've never had nails in my yard. Where'd that nail come from? I got a flat tire.
The lawn,
and I gotta put cameras up outside. I got grass warfare going on.
The landscape assassin.
Yeah, the landscape assassin. It's just Mark Yard, like randomly driving to my house every now and then and just fucking with me and like blowing a tire. So I think my neighbors are out to get me. And he's just like, I don't like the smile he has right now. He seems very complicit in anything that's happened.
You're only a couple hours away.
Yeah, he's just like, he's letting Mark's over by my tires. Like, I'm getting really tired of your shoe jokes about Aaron. It's just giving me flat tires.
Don't crease him, bro. Don't crease him. Don't step on him.
He was so mad. I'm gonna message him later and be like, remember that time? Yeah, it's fun. Maybe he was acting out, but no, man. I enjoyed the conversation with you guys. Anything else you guys want to say before I press stop on this bad boy?
Yeah, thanks. Go back and listen to our other episodes.
Hey, thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, you guys
thanks for joining us, you guys. Take care.